and this is Building a Lifestyle Business. And this week, I have fellow Central Floridian in the same market as us, right down the street. Actually went to Circle Christian with my kids, spent some time at the same church, got a long history with this guy, Andrew Wilburn. And so, Andrew, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody, name your business, where you're at, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. So Andrew Wilburn, I am here in Winter Garden. Technically, it's the west side of Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been basically soft washing since beginning of 2018. January 1st, 2018 is when we, quit our jobs and started soft washing. So, and it's been awesome.
Yeah. And so wife, kids, what do you got?
Yep. So I've been married since 2015. I've got 3 kids, Clay, who just turned 6, Morgan, who just turned 4, and Jack, who's 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they're an absolute blessing to me. I love being a dad. And that's kind of one of the best things about the business, honestly, is just being able to be with my kids for any big event. I spend a lot of time with my kids, and that's important to me. And that's my main reason why I love being in the soft washing industry.
Yeah. And so I know you're a golfer. I've actually golfed with you, 3 times in the last 2 years? Yeah, 3 times in the last 2 years. Kind of crazy because I'm not a golfer, but I guess I've golfed 5 times in the last 2 years, so I guess that qualifies as a golfer. I was just on the call with somebody, and they noticed I had my Callaway shirt on here,
sir.
And I'm like, well, it's not because I'm a Callaway fan; it's because it was $15 at Sam's. That's where I get all of my clothing. I've got Greg Norman shirts too, and those are supposedly golf shirts, but I like them because they have a shark on them.
Sure.
But you're like, dude, you're like a legitimate golfer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I started golfing really early on with my dad. And then I took, a decade maybe of no golf.
Mm-hmm.
And then in high school, for whatever reason, I picked it up and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I practiced every day. I worked at a golf course and they gave me free golf, as basically a bonus for working there.
Right.
And I just fell in love with the sport. I don't play it as much as I used to, obviously having 3 kids now and a business. But in high school, it basically consumed my life. And I was able to, like I said, it consumed me for all of high school. I was, no kids, so I was able to play.
Well, you were also on the golf team at Circle Christian, right?
I wasn't on the golf team at Circle Christian. I was buddies with a bunch of the Circle Christian guys.
That were on the golf team.
Yeah, that were on the golf team.
I swore you were actually on the team.
No, wasn't on the golf team. I did go to a golf college, which was more focused on the management side of,
Mm-hmm.
How to run golf courses, how to maintain golf courses, things like that. But another perk of that.
Clearly the path to soft washing, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You could tell I was, for sure. Makes a ton of sense. But no, and with that, again, I was able to play a lot of golf. That was a perk of being there. So, for about a 7-year period, that was my main thing, was just golfing.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I was with fishing. There was that season.
Right. So, and now, speaking of golf and being a dad, Clay, like I said, he's 6. So I'm like, hey, you want to go out and golf? And maybe, you can see if you like it. And so he's picking it up and he's loving it. So that's kind of my foot back in the door of being able to golf, more than I have been. So that's been really fun.
Cool. Have you gotten any the golf wiffle balls to whack around the backyard with them? So you practice
they're like
swing?
Foam balls. Yep. So he's practicing out in the back, and then, he goes and he putts and, things like that. He's not playing the whole course, but it's a lot of fun. He gets to drive the golf cart. And so sometimes I'll get off work a little early, pick him up from school, and we'll go play, 9 holes. So,
well, shoot, as a kid, driving the golf cart's a big deal.
Right. Yeah. That's his favorite thing about golf. Yeah. I'm not so sure he'd like the game without the golf cart, but, so.
Well, any way you can get them hooked,
Exactly.
Well, it's really all about spending time with your kids, and developing that relationship. So it's cool to be able to share a hobby with them.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. And so, when we look back on 2018, I remember you getting into the business, and it was really because your dad had gotten into the business.
Right.
And your dad's name is Jack too, correct?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So your third child, your youngest, is named after your dad.
Sir.
And so Jack actually worked for a short time with a licensed affiliate that was in the Seminole County area. They were in Daytona Beach and started another branch in Seminole County. And that branch failed. And suddenly your dad had gotten introduced to this thing, soft washing, had gone out and started selling it. And then you guys decided to do what from there?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we looked into the industry because my dad was really enjoying, being in sales of selling soft washing. He liked, seeing before and afters, and it was satisfying. And then when the opportunity kind of arose to look into it for ourselves, that's when we kind of really started doing our research. And that was late 2017, I'd say. I think we actually got our LLC in October of 2017. But yeah, so it was kind of a 50-50 thing with me and my dad in January 1st of 2018, like I said. And yeah, I mean, I was working in the fire suppression industry before it, like right up before it. And I was actually cleaning hoods of, commercial hoods and schools and things like that.
Oh no, you were in the hood cleaning thing?
Yeah.
That is the worst job in the world.
It was awful.
I mean, that's like a genuine Mike Rowe dirty jobs episode right there.
Absolutely. It was dirty and wet and nasty and stinky. It was awful. So soft washing is much better.
I didn't know that. Know that. It explains a lot.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you're up underneath a nasty hood with a pressure washer and it's raining down on you. And so it wasn't the best. But yeah, so I was able to transition from that with my dad in the January of 2018. And so we've been kind of going at it ever since. So that's almost 7 full years now.
7 full years. Wow.
Yeah.
And so when you think about your entrepreneurial journey, when you go back to before you got into soft washing, if you were to even go back as early as 2016, did you envision yourself being an entrepreneur and owning a business?
Yes. That was always the goal. So I just turned 31, right? So in 2018, I'm going to butcher the math, but early 20s, and had recently gotten married. And, obviously we didn't have a lot of money at the time. My wife was still in school. But I had always wanted to, I enjoyed jobs, but it was always tough for me to just kind of clock in. And I don't know, I felt kind of put in a box and it paid the bills, but it wasn't what I always wanted to do. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I would mow yards in the neighborhood for neighbors. I was flipping things on eBay when I was a kid. So I always had that spirit of being an entrepreneur, but I never had a great opportunity to do it.
You seem like you're about the age that you were probably selling shoes on eBay.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't quite, but I mean, I was taking old household items and asking my mom, like, hey, can I sell this on eBay? Just like anything. I wanted to just, I'd take my old toys and I'd sell them, and it worked, old clothes. Yeah. So, I always wanted a way to have a lot of potential, and that's kind of what I always craved. So yeah, I was definitely working toward it. And so when my dad sat me down, he approached me about this in, late 2017. It was kind of like, I think let's do this, and we put a lot of thought into it, and we ripped off the Band-Aid of kind of finishing what we had been doing and starting this with, no real experience. Obviously he had owned some businesses in the past, but I obviously hadn't. And so it was just one of those things where we wanted to do it as a father and son. And I was actually just talking to him about it yesterday, about how grateful I am for the time that we've been able to spend together.
Right.
It's a really unique situation that not a lot of people, first of all, a lot of people get into family businesses and it doesn't always end well,
Sure.
And so we still have a great relationship. And so we're real thankful for that.
Yeah. I mean, it can be a rocky road for sure. I've had one of those rocky roads, and it was mostly good, and it didn't end well, but we got back on track. But it's I would tell people not to fear that. A lot of people are like, oh, but it could go so bad. Yeah, but it could go bad with people that you don't know that you hire. I mean, it's just business is like anything else in life. Life is a struggle. Business is a struggle. Marriage is a struggle. Anything's a struggle. Going to school is a struggle. If you didn't do things because of the struggle, nobody would ever accomplish anything.
Right. And it could be bad, yes, but it could also be great.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's been. And then, I want to be truthful. Of course, we've had our ups and downs. It's business. Everybody, that's a given.
Oh, I've been on the phone with you during some of those. Yes.
Yes, exactly. It's not always been perfect, no doubt about it. And we've had tussles with each other, me and my dad, or just it's business. So, but no, we're real thankful for the opportunity that we've had to be able to do this together. And since I'd say probably about 2021, early 2021, I took over the business full time, 100% from my dad. And then since then, he's been very helpful, kind of on the side. He does some territory manager work for me, going out and running leads and things like that. And sometimes going to meetings like Chamber of Commerce and things like that. So when I'm not able to do those things, he always steps in because he likes to be able to do that. That's what he's always done, is sales. So we've got a really good kind of thing going.
It's always tough for dads. And, my dad was the dad and I was the son. And now my son's in the business. So I'm the dad and he's the son. And the thing that's always going to happen, and you don't see it as the son, but you one day see it as the father, is the process of, which is very, very natural, of one generation aging out while the other generation ages in.
Yep.
And the ideas and the vision doesn't match some, and the older generation doesn't want to let go. And so you have to plan for that. And if you don't plan for your exit, then your exit becomes really, really rocky. And it doesn't mean that you have to completely exit. I mean, you've worked it out really well with your dad, that he goes to meetings, Chamber of Commerce meetings, and presses the flesh, and is kind of brand ambassador for you in some areas, and does some territory management, and goes out and sells jobs and all. So he hasn't completely released from the business, but he has given you the authority, and it's your business now. And it takes a lot of humility and understanding to be able to do that. But the transition happens whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. And he's been really gracious with that. I owe my dad a lot of props for that. The transition was smooth, and he was very humble and allowed me to do kind of what I had wanted to do as an entrepreneur. Because the 50-50 split, I was more operational for the first, few years. And so I wasn't necessarily able to, if I had a real idea of marketing or whatever it might be, it was tougher for me to relay that to him, because maybe he thought differently and he had more control at the time of certain areas. And I totally understood that. So when it kind of came to a point in 2021 where I was like, hey, I actually kind of really want to take over the business, and gave him a lot of reasons, and he allowed it. And he's been super gracious and awesome about that this whole time. And even now, if I have any tasks or anything for him to do, he just jumps right up on it, and never complains, always looking to help. So I can't complain. I owe him a lot.
So you ended up basically, when this other company went out of business, you all somewhat kind of took over then at that point.
Sure.
And because we didn't have any company-owned stores in the area at that point. We were just completely in the supplier business. We do now have a company-owned store in Seminole County. And so you were able to kind of pick up where the other company left off, where they failed. I mean, the other company literally opened the office, started the office, and within 30 days of them starting the office, closed the doors and shut down. It was crazy and abysmal. And, it was just really sad.
Can I tell you something about that, actually, AC? Was the way that it really worked was when my dad had been working with them. It was he actually had been approached about buying that area.
Right.
So that was kind of what got us thinking about it. And so, ultimately, obviously we didn't. We started Safely Soft Wash. But yeah, that exactly. It didn't last super long where they were,
No.
Yeah.
You've heard AC Lockyer talk the talk, but wouldn't you like to see him walk the walk? Now is your chance, and it is absolutely free. Spend the day exploring soft wash systems and disruptor manufacturing. You'll see the business and marketing systems developed by AC at work. But no open house is complete without food, so be sure to stick around for lunch. To register for this free event, please call 855-763-8669 to reserve your spot. We look forward to seeing you at our next open house.
And so that ended, and then you guys started your thing. But in the meantime, we opened up a company-owned store in Seminole County, and we got together with you, and we don't have territories, but I executed a non-compete agreement with you to protect you, to let you know that I wasn't going to come into your area. We drew a line. Yep. And I'm really jealous of your area. I was driving through your area the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, I went out to the Ford's garage out there in
Hamlin area. Yep.
Yeah, Hamlin area. And I was just blown away at how much that's grown out there.
Yes.
It is unbelievable how much that west side of town has grown. And we were out there for Ken and Birch's funeral, the guy that started Dream Builders, and that was out in Windermere. And so I had to drive right past Islesworth and the Windermere Chain of Lakes and downtown Windermere. We're driving by, all these beautiful houses and everything else. And I'm just like, man, Andrew should just be totally killing it back here, because you are, where your area is like the Hollywood of Orlando. This is where all the movie stars and the sports players and all the wealthiest people in the United States have one of their many homes is in your area. Tell us about your area a little bit.
Yeah. So as you stated, we do have the Isleworth area, which is the Windermere. Very nice, high-end homes. So we've got, it's the Orange County area. Windermere, Bay Hill, where the Bay Hill golf tournament is, Arnold Palmer, as a matter of fact, the house that, I don't know if people followed Tiger Woods closely a decade or so ago, but when he had his dispute with his wife and the whole thing happened where he crashed into a fire hydrant at that house in Isleworth, I've actually cleaned that house now.
I've actually cleaned that house now too.
Okay, cool.
We used to actually clean it when Tiger owned it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's much cooler. Okay, I've got the. He doesn't own it anymore. We've cleaned, just for context, Shaq. We haven't cleaned Shaq's house, but we cleaned all his neighbors. So you get the idea of like you said, the movie stars, the basketball players, they all live over there. And then we've got some other areas like where our office is and where I've lived for a while. I don't currently live here. I moved down the road, but Winter Garden. Not quite as nice, not all just mansions. Is more, a lot of restaurants and shops and like that. But yeah, no, I mean, we've got Orange County's great. Our area kind of goes toward Orlando, the I-4 kind of corridor over there, and then into Lake County, Claremont and things like that. So
which is blowing up tremendously. It's crazy. Yes. Yep.
So I mean, endless opportunity for sure. Definitely, we got a lot of competition. Obviously, as being over there, Central Florida being, everyone wants to soft wash over here. Everybody's got a pressure washer.
Everybody puts their eyes on your area and goes, "Oh, I need to be cleaning these, these $20 million houses."
Right.
But they don't trust everybody to clean their houses. There's a lot of people that want to clean those houses, but to break into those houses is really kind of different, because those people are living. We talk about building a lifestyle business. Those people have built a lifestyle business that's on a whole nother level that we're probably never going to experience.
Right. Yeah. It's been great to be able to get in those neighborhoods and experience that type of house and, houses that may take, one of the houses that we did took over a week to clean, and so, yeah, we've definitely had a lot of really fun projects in those areas. So, we're definitely staying busy. I have no complaints with the Windermere, Winter Garden area. It's been really cool, and we've never really needed to venture off further away. I remember early on in business, you kind of just take any lead that you can get. And so, right. And so we're going 45 minutes away for a tiny shingle roof or whatever it might be. And so, we're thankful for that time, but also thankful that we don't really do that anymore. We're kind of, in this smaller bubble, real close to home. And so it's been pretty good.
Okay. I still don't think people quite realize the types of houses you're cleaning. Sure. I remember when I owned Mallard Systems, because I've had Mallard Systems here in the area. We were at one time a $4.8 million a year soft washing company with 3 branches around the state of Florida. I used to do work in your area. That's why we cleaned, we used to clean Shaq's house, the one that had the blue roof on it.
Yep.
I've actually been in his recording studio because a friend of mine, Fred McGinn, was his recording engineer.
Oh, man.
Shaquille O'Neal actually made me a ham and cheese sandwich one time, which was really cool. So
I've met Shaq. I haven't cleaned his house.
Yes, yeah. Well, I was hanging out in his house as we were mixing down our recording of our church singing group in his studio. And all of a sudden, you feel like somebody's watching you. And we turn around. There's Shaq leaning up against the door, and he's eating a sandwich. He's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh, hello, Mr. Shaq." He's like, "I made sandwiches. You want a sandwich?"
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Shaq. Mr. O'Neal, I'll take a sandwich. Thank you very much.
When
Shaq asks you if you want a sandwich, the answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And no, he is a nice guy. But so the back in the day, because I got out of the cleaning business, it was about 2009. So back in the day, I think the biggest house I ever cleaned as far as dollar amount was there in Islesworth. And it was the guy that owned Schneider Elevators. And that house, that was a single house cleaning of $11,000. And I think you have beaten that record. What is your single house cleaning record there in the Bay Hill, Windermere area?
Single house. Now we've done a lot of big projects, but they weren't all houses. Biggest residential house I've done, I would say, I think it was about 17 or 18,000. I think is about what we've gotten for the biggest one. Now, the smallest one in that neighborhood is, $5,000 or $6,000, right? So it's exactly good average. There's no small jobs in there.
Yeah.
And advice maybe to anyone that's listening too is a lot of the time with these really, really successful people that have these mansions, you're not always going to get the homeowner, right? So you need to look for potentially the someone that manages the home. And that's been a big ticket of ours, is to kind of get in with management companies that manage these homes. And that's been allowed us to get our foot in the door in these neighborhoods.
And even at that, just because you find a management company, you have to have the right insurance, workers' comp. Yes. You have to have a good background, criminal background checks. They check you out. Yeah. I remember when I cleaned the Schneider's house, they had me clean the house down the street, which was the $3,500 house.
Right. Yeah.
And then the housekeeper, and they don't call them property managers, they call them housekeepers. Then the housekeeper looked at me and said, "Oh, well, you've passed the test. That was our guest house." And I said, "Oh, that was the guest house?" She goes, "Yes. Now I'm going to take you to Mr. Schneider's home." Sure. And and that was the $11,000 one. It was the house was 30,000 square feet, all one level. And it wrapped on Lake Butler, and the entire back wall of it was glass.
Mm-hmm.
So it had this panoramic view of Lake Butler, and so I'm as I'm quoting the house for the lady, and it's just fun to tell these stories.
Sure, absolutely.
But as I'm quoting the house for the lady, that was the housekeeper. I said to her, "Hey, I noticed you're building another garage that has an apartment above it, and it's 2 stories." I said, "I've added that to the quote just so that you have the price for it. I realize it's not done, but it's going to get dirty in the future. That way you have that number for budgeting it." She went, "Oh, that's not an apartment." And I said, "Yeah, it's a garage with an apartment above." "Oh, no, that's not an apartment." I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" She goes, "It's a 2-story garage."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "It's a 2-story garage." She goes, "Yeah, you pull in the garage here and there's an elevator and there's cars on the 2nd floor and there's cars on the 1st floor. And I'm like, "Really?" And she looks at me and goes, "Do you like cars?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. You've seen my truck,
Yes.
Yes, I do like cars." She goes, "Do you like Corvettes?" I'm like, "Well, I'm more of a Mustang person, but no, yes, I like Corvettes." She goes, "Follow me." And she goes, that 2-car garage door down at the end of the house? I said, "Yeah." She goes, "That's the garage." And I said, "Oh, so it's a 2-car garage?" She goes, "No, it's a 30,000 square foot garage."
Oh my goodness.
The entire lower level of this house underneath was a garage. So She comes over and she goes, "Listen, there's an alarm system on and everything else. I'm going to open up the man door, the regular single door on the side. I'm going to flip on the lights. You can't walk in because the sensors will go off." But she said, in the floor of this garage and eventually in this other garage we're building next to the house, is every single model year Corvette and every special edition Corvette that's ever been made.
Oh my goodness. Crazy. Crazy.
and she flips on the lights, and it's like a Batman movie where you've gone like into the Batcave. It's like
rows and rows
of lights coming all across the thing, and it is. I mean, they must have put oil on the floor and skid these Corvettes in there. They were packed in so tight. Wow. There was every year Corvette in there.
Yep.
And I was like, this is crazy. And she goes, oh, that's just one of 7 houses Mr. Schneider has around the world. And they're all basically the same house with a 30,000 square foot garage underneath, all full of cars. And I went, how many can the guy drive? She goes, oh, you don't realize, and this is where I found out about this. The reason why Jay Leno and all these people have these huge garages full of cars is that's their bank, because there's a tax loophole.
Sure.
And the tax loophole is that when you buy a classic car here in the United States, when you buy it, you can buy it with pre-tax money. And then any money you put into fixing up the car, restoring the car, you can do with pre-tax money. And then if you ever sell the car, the only taxes you have to pay is on the gain. So if you buy the car for $20,000, you put 20 into it, but you sell it for 50, you only pay 27% capital gains tax on the $10,000 gain.
Oh, okay.
And, and I said, oh, but does he buy and sell them? He goes, no. What they do is they put all these cars in these gigantic vaults. And whenever they need to borrow money, they go to the bank, and the cars are the collateral for the loan. Mm-hmm. So he said they never sell the cars. They just use them as collateral to pull out money out of the bank to be able to do business deals.
Hey,
a whole nother world. It's a world we don't even think about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when you look at some of these houses, like your cleaning here in the Orlando, Florida area, which is an incredible market, the most competitive pressure washing market in the world, by the way. There's more pressure washers and soft washers on the I-4 corridor through Orlando than any other place in the world.
They're on every single block.
Every single block. You go to lunch, on your way driving to lunch, you see 6 pressure washing trucks while you're driving lunch in your pressure washing truck, you know?
Yes.
And so these people these homes are just on a different level. The furniture's inside's on a different level. The cars that they buy are at a different level. And when you look at them and say, hey, it's going to be $17,000 to clean your home, they're like,
right.
Okay.
It's not even a mortgage payment, right? That's no problem.
Yeah, it's not even 1 month's mortgage payment.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if you treat them well, and the thing about it is they've got other connections, like you said, where this is just the guest house. I've got, these 4 other over here. If you do well the first time, there's a lot of recurring work that goes back there. And we found that. I mean, I think the first people that went up in, not Elon Musk. Who's the one that owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Blue Origin, I'm not sure, where they go up and they do like these space adventures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the first people that went up, like residential civilians that went up for the first time with him, was 2 of our customers.
Yeah.
And they actually have a house in Winter Park. And this was, that was probably the first time we ever cleaned their house, was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And again, just an absolute, massive house. Beautiful glass walls everywhere. And, that was like a week-long cleaning as well. But the thing is, they are in a process of building, and I think it's almost done, the new biggest house in all of Central Florida, like all of Winter Park. It's like all over the news. And so it'll be interesting to see if we go and clean that as well. But, they own businesses and things over here that we've cleaned for them. We've cleaned their offices. And so, it's really important to do a good job when you go out the first time. And, so we've got a good setup here.
It's a lot of responsibility to be able to hold on to and handle those types of clients.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So,
yeah. And I know, you talk about those, I'm trying to remember the guy that owns Virgin.
Oh, it's,
Sir.
Yeah.
I got an excuse. I'm 55 years old. What's your excuse? It's like we're on the tip of our tongues. But anyhow, somebody listening to the podcast right now is yelling at his radio, telling us his name.
Right.
But with his company, they had bought tickets with his company, and the tickets, it was John and Diane Cloud. Diana Cloud bought tickets, and they were $750,000 each.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. Yep. And it was like, I'm going to buy a $750,000 ticket to do a space trip up into outer space, right, and then come back down to land. Now, that was almost a decade ago. They were that much, and they were investor tickets. Now I think it's $250,000 to go up, you know, and be up there for 15, 20 minutes, and then it comes back down.
That's what it was. I think it was, they basically, I think it was reported that it was $500,000 essentially to go up. And that was, it was kind of almost no guarantee at the time when they even bought their tickets too, because it was still like new and, maybe, and it was like, just write a check for 500,000 to go up into space. I mean, cool opportunity for them. That's awesome. As a matter of fact, one time we were cleaning their house and they actually came, they pull up and they're getting in their garage and they come out and they're in like a spacesuit, like actual, like NASA looking spacesuit. Like, I'm not even kidding. It was crazy. Yeah. And they were, talk to us.
Just getting ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Just getting ready because they had to do training, I guess, for the takeoff and things. So,
well, when they get the tickets down to $100,000, that'll be a little closer to roof cleaner money, and I might be able to do it. Right. So
cash in on some of this equity, and maybe I'll go.
but yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool because we're both in, and well, I'm in 8 countries and 3 territories now, but with all of our licensed affiliates and what we're doing worldwide together. As a team, as a company, symbiotic organization that we are. But the market that we share, I don't get the $17,000 houses up in Seminole County, but it's a great market, and we do have a lot of competition. But that being said, even with all the competition, we have great companies that have great revenues and have great profit. And it allows you to build a great lifestyle business. So when we're talking about building that lifestyle business, now you've been doing this for several years, your wife, 3 kids, you've built this great life. What does the future hold? What does building a lifestyle business mean to you, and where are you taking this now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, a lifestyle business to me is basically what I've been able to build. And that's being able to not necessarily have to be clocked in all day, every single day, not always answering the phone all day, every single day. I've got people that are in control of, if something pops up, they can go take care of the situation. Obviously, at times I have to do what I have to do, and that's part of being in a business. I still have to serve my customers and my clients. But, we go on vacation, family vacations. I think we took 3 this year, and I was able to remove myself from the business for 4 or 5 days at a time. And I'm, work is still getting done. I went to my son's graduation, all of these things that happen during the work day. Right. And so I'm able to spend a lot of time with my kids. And again, I'm repeating myself, but that really is, I'm just in this stage of life where the most important thing to me is to give time to my kids and watch them grow and have no regrets in that area. Because I feel like down the road, if I had any regret, it would be that I wasn't with my kids enough. Not that, I should have worked more. I feel like that wouldn't have been the regret, at least not for me. And so this business has been able to kind of afford me to take that time. And, and as far as the future holds, we've got a good thing going. I don't necessarily look too far out in the future, but we continue to grow year over year. And so, I don't know exactly, but maybe add a truck, continue to grow here and there and kind of maintain what we have and getting better and adding more processes to refine certain things. So there's always room for improvement.
Always. Yeah, sure.
And so that's actually kind of what I'm working on now is through coaching and things like that of, how can we get better? We've got a good thing, but business fluctuates. It's not always perfect. We've got times where we could have done certain things that we didn't. And so that's kind of what I'm seeking through coaching. And so, that's kind of what it is. Make sure that we continue to serve our customers well, make sure that we have a good work environment for my employees. They like showing up to work best, obviously it's still work, but it's still work. Yeah, they've still been very reliable for me. And I think we've got a good thing going with as far as keeping our guys happy. And so, just kind of maintaining that.
I think the key thing that you said was the life stage that you're in. You're in that dad with young kids.
Yeah.
Okay. So mom, dad, young kids, vacations, school, plays, practices, games.
Yep.
I know when I was in your phase of life, owning my soft washing business, and you were here in Orlando.
Yep.
Yeah, I went from being an owner operator to having 2 or 3 trucks to Mallard and Orlando to 3 branches around the state, $4.8 million a year, and Mallard trucks running all over the place and everything. And that whole time, I was at church every Sunday morning. I was at church every Sunday night. I was at church every Wednesday evening. I was at every game, every play, anything where you would think you would want to be as a dad. I got to be at all of those things because I didn't have a BOSS.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And if I wanted to take off, I was my own boss. I could take off. I could say, today I'm quitting at 3 and I'm going to go to that recital. I'm going to go to that, that practice or that game or be at church or go on a mission trip, and spend time with my kids or take a family vacation or whatever. I remember we were able to buy an RV and for us, I married a girl from Texas. So a lot of what we ended up doing was just traveling back and forth to Texas a lot. And so that was going out there for holidays. It was going out there for summer camp at Abilene Christian University to drop off the kids and put them in what we call the early indoctrination program at Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
So they knew that's where they were going for college.
Right.
And, and so that's what it really meant for me, because I was in that phase of life you're in. And I'm sure those are the things that you want to do. And you probably can't see very far beyond that right now because you got several years left of doing that.
Yeah. Yep. And my wife has been super supportive too. My wife is a nurse. And so it's been her schedule has been fantastic because she only works, once or twice a week. And so, we don't have to have them in daycare. And so we just have a really good home environment for our kids where the parents are home often. And it's just been a huge blessing. Maybe a little bit later on down the road, I'll be able to, or maybe want to put a little bit more time into work, but
you're not in take over the world mode right now.
Yeah. It comes and goes in waves, but, it's a lot of fun when we're busy and, the checks are hitting and things like that. But it's also nice, in the slower months, summers or around Christmas time where, Christmas time, again, an amazing thing about this lifestyle business is the 24th, so that's Christmas Eve, all the way through basically the 2nd of January. So December 24th to the 2nd of January.
Right.
The guys we close and we just stay at home and we enjoy time with our families. I pay those guys for that time off. Everybody stays happy and I just, it's things like that.
You get to completely turn it off.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And nobody wants to get their house cleaned during that time anyway. So it just makes too much sense not to do it that way. And
but you could work because I know you do a lot of schools.
Yes.
And the schools are closed then. So you could work, but you get the luxury of saying, I'm just not going to work.
Right. Yep. The work will be waiting for us come January 2nd. And we book up January and we work real hard up until the Christmas Eve. And then we can kind of sit back and enjoy our families and time off and reflect on the year and be thankful for what we've accomplished. And it's like a natural reset to, a little over a week. It comes to about a week and a half is essentially the time off that everybody gets. And we come back and it's almost refreshed. It's a natural reset. And so everybody's in a way excited to come back and start a new year and start new projects. So that's, it's just a huge blessing to be able to do that kind of thing.
Well, and we do the same thing. We build it in. And I think I kind of inspired you to take that week off because I always harp on people about that. But, we at Softwash Systems in Seminole County, the company branch that we have set up right next to Softwash Systems so people can see a branch actually working and functioning. Our team works 4-day weeks. So every weekend's a 3-day weekend. And we give them off the week of 4th of July every year. We give them off the week of Labor Day every year. We give them off the week of Thanksgiving every year. We give them off the week between Christmas and New Year's every year. And so that's 4 weeks off a year. And every weekend's a 3-day weekend. It doesn't get hard to find team members when you're offering a package like that.
Right. Yeah. And that's incredible. I mean, I've been considering something like that. That's something that I still have to run by my team. Yeah. But
Oh, you gotta work like hell for 48 weeks out of the year,
right? Yeah, exactly.
To make the same amount of revenue,
Right. Well, that, and the days are obviously a bit longer to do the 40 in the 4 days, but it's a mixed bag with that. Some guys have kids and they want to get home earlier through the day, and some guys are like, oh yeah, I'll work a full day if I get Friday off, so
yeah.
But no, that's genius. I love that. That's a lot of time off for people.
But it's important because, like you said, you want to take care of your team members, and you want to create a great work environment for them because, people want to have a life. Yeah. Building a lifestyle business means you're building a business to give you a life, but it's very selfish if you're not giving your team a life too.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And so that's one of those things where anytime, we have the opportunity, like you mentioned, we do a lot of schools. So those are bigger projects for us and they take more time, but the ticket is bigger. You're talking upwards of $100,000 jobs, potentially even. And so I always, on those types of projects where the guys are over there working, for days on end, potentially over a month, maybe 2 months, even on some of these, we do big bonuses for stuff like that. And so that kind of keeps them happy. And everybody loves a good little bonus to be able to be rewarded for a big project and things. And so we make sure to do that as much as possible.
And then the soft wash systems pro forma helps out with that too, because we know a certain percentage of the dollar goes to payroll for technicians. Mm-hmm. And if they do it in a compressed period of time, but like let's say for even numbers, you got $100,000 to do a job.
Sure.
And 20 cents on the dollar goes to technician payroll. And it took X number of weeks to do it. But at the end of the job, you were under on your payroll, your 20% payroll budget by $5,000 or $6,000. Well, you've got some money you can give some bonuses out. And that makes the team happy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, any chance we get to be able to do something like that, we do. And so it's kind of like a running joke or whatever through soft wash systems that I've somehow managed to keep my employees for an extremely long period of time. And so, I just feel blessed that we've got a great group of guys and when we have had people leave.
Well, you did lose Garrett.
I did lose Garrett. And he's going to be really happy that he's getting name dropped by AC Lockyer in this podcast.
Right.
But
how can you forget Garrett, for crying out loud? He was so awesome.
Garrett's the man. And he
has such a great mustache.
He does have a great mustache. I'm working on mine if you're watching the video. But and Garrett's a good buddy of mine, and I've hired his brother and friend, people in the church friend group and things like that. And that's just been really good because, when work is maybe they're not on a fun job or it's hard and they're, it's hot in the summer, they're still with people they know and they love these guys, they love each other. And so that's worked well for us to kind of hire in a friend group bubble almost in a way and keep everybody, they get to go see their friends at work. It's not just, I don't like the people I work with, because that would make things much worse. And so, it's been pretty cool.
So what would you tell people if they're considering getting into a cleaning business? What would you tell them about your decision with soft wash systems and encouraging them on that?
I would say do it. And the main reason is because like I said, I've been in business for about 7 years now. And through those 7 years, I've seen, quote unquote, my competitors come and go and come and go and come and go. And the reality is they don't have any systems in place, right? They see, okay, soft washing sounds great. Oh, I just, I squirt bleach on this building and I get paid, $400. That sounds amazing, and so, but that's not sustainable, as we know. And you've got to have processes in place to have things be repeatable, and to grow your company. And so with soft wash systems, we've been able to get all of the systems and the processes that we talked about in place for us, essentially. And then at that point, it's just up to me to abide by those and to apply them to my own company, and hold my guys accountable to those things. And that automatically puts people above, their competitors, because like I said, these guys don't really actually know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. All they know is they're going to get the biggest, baddest equipment for the cheapest they can possibly do. Yeah. And they're going to spray as much bleach as fast as they can on buildings. And that's that. And whatever happens after that, it is what it is.
And that's a race to the bottom.
Right. It's a race to the bottom. It's who can charge the least and do them, and so we just think completely different from that. We try to charge the absolute most. I'd like to do less work than those guys for double the price, maybe triple, be more profitable, not overwork my guys. And so anyway, long story short is that, you kind of are plugged in with a community of people that are helpful. Everybody's going to have questions and our questions get answered. And the systems that are applied, like I said, are very helpful. So I think it's the way to go. And I love soft washing. Soft washing is fantastic. I think it's a phenomenal community. I wouldn't change it for anything. And I've been able to do the Top Guns with soft wash systems and help teach. And that's been a huge blessing for me.
Yep, you're a Top Gun instructor.
Yes, sir.
What's your call sign?
Burns.
Burns,
yes,
that's right.
Yes, yeah. My last name's Wilburn. So, we went with that. But no, I love to teach. I love to teach people the systems, the equipment, which is beautiful and fantastic. It's the absolute best. I've done TikTok videos on this, as you know, and it blew up with people being like, "Oh my gosh, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen." They're saying, "Hey, one day I want to be like you," things like that. Where it's like, "Hey, man, I'm just taking a video of this awesome equipment," and so it's cool to see people really love that side of the soft wash systems, and so. But yeah, no, and the Top Gun, like I said, has been fun because we're able to teach, and I kind of see things from a different perspective when I'm there for the week of the Top Guns. And it's fun to be back on a truck because I haven't personally been soft washing myself since about 2021 when I took over. So we're approaching, 4 years now of me not actually doing the cleaning, just kind of running the business in the day to day. And so it's fun to get back on the truck and get, my hands on these projects with these new people coming into the industry and see their excitement and feed into that. And then I come back to my guys with a renewed excitement and fresh perspective sometimes, and so that's really cool. And so, yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about the soft wash systems. I hope I'm not gloating too much about you guys, but it is all genuine. It's been life-changing. And I actually mean that from the bottom of my heart because, in 2018, when we started, I didn't really have any money, and my wife was in college and she was working for like $10 an hour as a scribe at a hospital. And so, when we first started, like I said, we had bought the equipment and we didn't have much money. And, you hope for success in the future, but I don't predict the future. I see people
for sure
coming in and out of the business, and doing their best, but they failed. So, to fast forward to where we've been for these past couple of years where, it's really turned into that lifestyle business. I'm off the truck, I'm with my kids, my bills are paid. And so I think that anybody that wants to get into the industry should lean into soft wash systems and see what they can do for them.
Cool. Well, there you go, guys. I can't say it any better than that. And Andrew, thank you so much for joining us this week on Building a Lifestyle Business. It was a great conversation. And hey, listen, guys, if you really liked this podcast, hit the like, go ahead and hit share and subscribe for us. And you can be like Andrew, start your lifestyle business and be able to achieve your life's goals and dreams. Andrew, thanks so much for being on, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So AC, Lockyer here. And as always, guys, go forth and prosper. We'll see you at the next podcast.